Hello again, I am Blunty, festoonerizing my festoonerizing. Straight off the top of my head, that one. My brain wanted to say my table is festooned with items, but I went with festoonerizing. I can make up words, it's fine. All words are made up in the end when you really think about it. It'll blow your mind a little bit. Don't think about it too hard though. It will shift your entire worldview of communication. Put the serious face on here for the moment because I want to and have to disclose to you that this is an Intel sponsored video. They were very kind and threw a i9 Extreme Edition at me to have a play with. I don't get to keep it, unfortunately. Tear feels bad, man. Poor Blunty gets to play with all the cool toys, but sometimes has to send them back. Heartbreaking. Did that? Let me try that again. Heartbreaking. Thank you for Intel for letting me at least have a play with the smiggest of the schmick Intel Core processors, the Core i9 Extreme Edition. I've been wanting to mess with one of these things ever since they announced the damn thing, and I went, I need to play, and now I can, so thank you, Intel. Anyway, the star of this particular build is this right here. This is the i9 7980XE, otherwise known as the Core i9 Extreme Edition, an 18-core, 36-thread monster of a CPU that is, and I'll be honest with you here, slightly terrifying in its power. Well, not really, drama, it's a YouTube. So anyway, the concept behind the way I put this build together is to be a really seriously powerful, forward-looking and long-living content creation machine and gaming machine and streaming machine for people like me who do this stuff on the YouTubes and the Twitches and such on a daily basis. So the way I've gone about this is obviously absolute top shelf. This is going to be the beating heart of the machine. This will keep it humming along and being a monster for years to come. So I'm going to go through these parts in more detail as we sort of do the build montage for you, but I did want to go through the design aesthetic here in a moment. The build back there, that's sort of a build when someone comes into your workspace area and goes, oh hey, what's that ridiculous looking festoon Christmas tree looking monster of a ridiculous clown build thing. And that's fine, it's designed to catch attention, it's behind me in my videos all the time, it's supposed to look kind of flashy. What I'm building here though is I want a super clean, crispy, professional, but still snazzy looking thing. I didn't want a boring black box just filled with the best components. I wanted something that looks really nice, but it looks super crispy, super clean, super professional, but still looks like it's got, which I don't know whether you're that familiar with industry jargon, but it is the word for something, a PC that's really quite powerful. And do please stay tuned to the channel, do the subscription thing, the bell thing, and all the other stuff to make sure you get notified, because after we've done the build, I'm coming back at you with another video with some genuine sort of real world tests. I'm going to be running a game and streaming a game and encoding video and recording video, and we can do that all at once because of what this little creature, this monster, this beast, this angry slab of silicon that I can barely hang on. No, that's too dramatic. That was over the top. But that's what these are here for when you're just seriously multitasking, when you're a content producer, when you're doing your stream, and then you're also, running the game on the same machine, because that makes life easier rather than doing a 2-machine rig, which is, I never like the idea of that. But you can also sort of in behind the scenes while you're doing all that, encode the video that you're going to publish to YouTube for your replays and all that kind of stuff later on. And anyway, let's get to the build. Our foundation stone, aka the motherboard, is the MSI X299 Gaming Pro Carbon AC, partly because it has everything we want and need in a rig like this, including Lightning USB 3.1 Gen 2, built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth being especially nice if you're like me and use a wireless Xbox controller, because weirdly, somehow Bluetooth is still not just flat-out stock standard on all motherboards for some reason. The other reason for the Gaming Pro Carbon is it has a nice neutral colour scheme and even interchangeable plastic shields that snap over the heatsinks. I'm going to keep the nice dark grey ones on, but silver and gold also come within the box, and MSI even give you the file so you can 3D print your own in whatever colour you like. You can even fiddle with the design, make them look like Lego or something if you want. But we are going for crispy and monochrome, so dark it is. And of course, it features Intel Gaming LAN built in for nice low latency gaming priority across your network. The beating heart is of course that big fat i9. Deep breath for its whole name now. It's the Intel Core i9 7980XE Extreme Edition processor.
I don't know why I said it like that, but it's fun. I'm going to say it like that from now on in. 18 cores, 36 threads, max turboing up to 4.4 GHz, just shy of 24 megabytes of onboard cache, 44 PCIe lanes, and just flat out their most brutally powerful desktop class CPU to date. I'm drooling as I'm thinking about it. It's an investment to be sure. If you're just into pure gaming, or you're just not ready to go full-on pro content creator and full-time streamer, then of course you've got the more pocket-friendly i7. In fact, the i7 is even slightly better in pure gaming, as it has a little edge in the per-core performance of the i9. But the glorious overkill here, with so many more cores, gives you so much more power and options and flexibility for heavily serious multitasking workloads and keeping room and overhead so everything you do keeps doing it smoothly under workloads that could start choking off the resources the i7 has. Not everybody needs an i9, but for those of us who can make use of it, oh my goodness, it's a creature. Now, for memory, I had some sweet timing line up for the build, just in time to check out HyperX's brand new flavor of Predator RGB memory. In this case, a quad pack of 2933 MHz 8GB sticks for 32GB total. The party piece here, though, is the RGB strip of lights up the spine of each module, which we will be able to control and even animate using the Mystic LightSync RGB control built right into the MSI motherboard. My understanding is this also works just fine with other motherboards' RGB built-in things like Asus AuraSync and things like that. You don't need any extra controllers, there's no extra cables, you don't even need any extra software. It's just natively supported RGB control in the RAM stick right from the motherboard's own software. Nice. For the cooler, I've gone for a Deep Cool Captain 240EX. I've used this cooler and a smaller single-fan brother in a few builds now, and it really is very nice. Great value, clean design, a little bit flashy without being obnoxiously so. The mounting system is simple and easy, it's quiet, it's been perfectly reliable for me, and does the actual job of cooling very nicely, of course. Though I will admit I never have challenged it with something as aggressive as the i9 Extreme Edition, but I'm confident it'll do fine. The case I'm using is the NZXT S340 Elite, my first build in any NZXT case as a matter of fact, but I hear nice things about them, especially about the cable management. And this case's super clean line design is just the thing for this build. Also nice is it has an HDMI pass-through to a port on the front I/O panel. Super useful for hooking up a VR unit without having to fiddle behind the rig. For this build, I'll be pulling out the default fans. I'm sure they're perfectly serviceable, but I want some of Thermaltake's glowing ring light fans in here. These too I use often, usually in the RGB flavor though, but here I've gone for the single color white option. I was originally going to put one on top of the case and one on the rear, but I ran into some clearance issues with the I/O cover thing on the motherboard pressing into the fan housing a bit tighter than I was comfortable with. It would have worked okay, I was just pressing in the plastic, not any actual components or anything, but I pulled it anyway because it did bug me. Instead, this let me go with a top-mounted exhaust fan and use the two other ring light fans that came in the triple kit to replace the two stock fans on the cooler, which looks better anyway. For the power supply, I had a modular Thermaltake RGB 650 watt unit sitting ready. In this case, we're not going to see the ring light fan built into it, or in fact, the power supply at all. It's completely hidden by the case, but it's a good solid PSU. Drive-wise, we'll be wanting a plenty fast storage, but also some significant mass storage. Video files, of course, just gobble up so much space. So for the latter, I've gone with a Seagate Ironwolf 6TB model. Great performance and stacks of space for gameplay capture and local save recordings from live streams and such. There's bigger choices, like the 10TB model I already use in my own rig, but the 6TB is a nice sweet spot for money spent versus ample storage. For the super fast stuff, of course my system drive is going to be an Intel SSD, partly because this is an Intel sponsored build, so we got to rep the brand right and get the logo out front, but honestly mostly it was about their super clean industrial design. A beautiful neutral silver so it sits clean against the white case background and the front facing mount I'm putting it on, but without throwing off the monochromatic aesthetic. I went with the Intel 545S series, 128GB of SSD, great price, and while Intel do have some insanely fast SSD options, for a system drive, this thing sits in that perfect sweet spot too. I was also recently sent this SSD from Galax, another 128GB model. Its crisp white design will make it ninja into this build a bit, you barely see it. I'll be using this dedicated to some select game installs for zippy performance there. And finally, for general faster storage and more games, a 1TB WD Blue. Nothing super special here, just big, fast and reliable. Of course, no streamer's rig is truly complete without a capture card. You know, just in case you want to slum it on the console side of things instead of the PC master race. My go-to for that is the Elgato HD60 Pro. Rock solid reliability, super low latency, and crispy clean feed. There's also the Elgato 4K 60 Pro, if you want to kick things up another few notches for your PS4 Pro or Xbox One X and such. But once more, the HD60 Pro is that sweet spot for great performance, great price. And then of course, the essential GPU. Here, a Galax 1070 Ti, and while the Nvidia 1060 is the sweet spot for 1080p gaming these days, and what I usually recommend for most people, we're stepping it up another notch here. The 1070 Ti is a great place to sit for high-end gaming. It'll monster 1080p at maxed out ultra settings in pretty much everything, and it will give you a longer reach going forward than a 1060 would. It'll also give you more headroom for 1440p and 4K gaming, and with a rig like this I absolutely recommend pairing it with at least a 1440p screen, if not 4K. Because trust me when I say the extra working space on your desktop is invaluable for streaming and editing. The Galax here is perfect for this build. Firstly, of course, it's the right color, or more accurately, the right lack of color, I suppose, and the fans glow white, hooray, and there's even a light bar sitting under the PCB shield. Nice touch. But also, and somewhat more importantly, in the past when I've tested Galax EX Sniper cards, they've proven to be very nice, very quiet, and also really quite good overclockers. Very good overclockers, in fact. And with an overclock on the GTX 1070 Ti, it can come damn close to going punch for punch with the more expensive GTX 1080 Big Brother model. So, with all that, a few custom sleeved cables to help enhance the black and white look, and some tidy work on the cable runs, we're done. And it looks just like I'd envision it. So, hero shot time.
That little cat.
And there, as the French say, is job done. I mean, I'm sure the French have some French words for it, but when they say it, they don't think about, well, I'm speaking French, the job is done. They're just saying, the job's done. But it's probably something, voila. Right? So I'll turn the lights on so you can see me. It just looks so good in the dark, doesn't it? I've got to tell you, it came out exactly as I was hoping it would. It's got this super clean, crispy, frosty kind of look to it, and I really, really like it. I'm not too sure whether or not I like this case. On the one hand, cable management is some of the best I've ever used. On the other hand, it's a little bit fiddly to actually work with, but it's worth the effort because you wind up with something looking that clean. This might be the cleanest build I've ever done. Even the cable stuff at the back, which you don't see, even that, I didn't take that much effort with. Even that looks cleaner than what I usually do. And I'm usually fairly careful about my cable management, but this, just about everything is hidden. You can stare at this thing, you see maybe an edge or two. It's nice. The other thing I like, first time I've used one of Intel's SSDs, so the little 2.5 inch ones there. I love that thing. The industrial design on the thing, that sort of soft aluminium coloring on it, the clean, crispy industrial design. I like that very much too. The graphics card, the Galax 1070 Ti. It's slightly different white than the rest of it, which once you notice it, you'll never stop noticing it, but by and large, because of the lighting on the inside, you don't really notice it anyway. I mean, did you notice on the camera? You might have, I don't know. But all I can tell is it's a very, very, very slightly warmer white than every other white component. But the point is, this came out just as I wanted it to. It's very, very powerful. It doesn't look, completely ridiculously flashy, blinking light, shiny, show-off PC. It's got that custom look to it without looking too flashy. It's not a boring black box, but it is pretty, I think. I think pretty is the right word for it. Chime down in the down below area if you've got a better name for this rig. Actually, we need to name the rig. That's what you guys can help me out with too. We need to come up with a name for this rig. Sort of, off the top of my head, Frosty the Coreman, because it's got a big fat multi-core i9 CPU in there. Frosty, the snowman, Frosty the Coreman. That's stupid. I want you to come up with a cool name for this thing, something appropriate, something sort of edgy but professional, clean but brutal. Something better than Frosty the Coreman. Although the more I say it, the more it's growing on me, I've got to admit. Thank you once again for Intel for sponsoring this build and sending me the i9 to have a play with. And I'm going to turn the lights out now because this thing looks best in the dark.